This is Beth Simone Noveck, professor at the NYU Tandon School of Engineering and director of the Governance Lab. This is the next in our series of short videos on public entrepreneurship. In our last discussion, we focused on the central skill of problem definition, the importance of articulating a clear, compelling, and specific definition of a problem and its root causes, in an effort primarily to be able to collaborate with others. We know that we are not as smart by ourselves as we are working together with others who have diverse skills and backgrounds, whether it's lived experience or academic credentials. But we need to know how to take advantage of this distributed expertise efficiently and effectively, whether to improve our understanding of the problem or to develop new solutions. Now, in his school, my 7-year-old is already learning the design thinking process, a method for asking questions and observing others, in their case, to redesign the school library. But we're beginning now, also in government, to recognize the importance of being able to collaborate with the public to develop new ideas that actually work. That's why in Chicago, for example, they're experimenting with developing not simply the police station, but creating a conversation between law enforcement and citizens to create what they're calling the Polis station. In other words, a public meeting space that delivers services beyond public safety. MindLab in Denmark, the first lab within a government, started this work 20 years ago and has taught all of us how to do a better job of talking to the people that we serve. It's now a truism that we cannot deliver public services without that collaborative conversation. And in South Australia, they've gone beyond collaborating with citizens on the design of services, but, as many cities have, also invite citizens to decide how money will be spent on the delivery of those services and programs, to the tune of $40 million. In Athens, they're putting out open calls to the public to collaborate in improving the life of their city. As citizen engagement and citizen consultation activity has moved online, but also expanded to include new forms of collaboration and co-creation, we've adopted a new terminology to describe it. We've borrowed from the term that we often use in business, namely that of crowdsourcing, also called open innovation, which capture the notion of distributing the work typically performed by people within an organization, in this case in the public sector, and distributing it to a wider audience, namely the public, in order to improve effectiveness. Often, crowdsourcing or open innovation are coupled with a prize to create an incentive for people to participate, but it's not obligatory. Crowdsourcing is not a new idea. We've been using crowdsourcing and open innovation for a very long time. Back in 1795, Napoleon, in fact, wanted a way to preserve the food that his troops needed to eat as they suffered through the long winters in the European battlegrounds where they fought. They couldn't rely on the local populations to feed them, and thus they needed to carry their own food along. Thus he put out a prize-backed challenge, offering a reward of 12,000 francs to improve upon food preservation methods. Well, it took 15 years to get the solution that he wanted, but a confectioner by the name of Nicolas François Appert developed a method of heating and boiling and sealing food in airtight containers that's pretty much the same process we use for conserving canned goods today. We know now that when we distribute a problem to a broader audience to help us solve it, it increases the speed, accuracy, and diversity of the people who participate, and improves in many cases the solutions that get developed. Not all open innovation or crowdsourcing has to take the form of a prize-backed challenge or contest. Contests have become wildly popular thanks to platforms like Challenge.gov or the X Prize, where they offer huge inducements to people to deliver hard solutions to even harder problems, like a low-cost robotic vehicle that can walk on the moon. Contests work well when we need a single solution to a problem. But there are other styles of crowdsourcing that often take the form of collaboration. In the open-source drug discovery project in India, the goal was to find a better solution for tuberculosis, a drug that afflicts the poor all over the world. And because it afflicts the poor, has seen very little progress in terms of commercial drug discovery in the last 40 years. Samir Brahmachari, the project's chief mentor, coordinated 4,000 Indian scientists and college students, often from very remote parts of India, whose goal it was, working collaboratively, to annotate the entire scientific literature on tuberculosis in order to accelerate research in the field. By 2014, the project was in clinical trials on a new drug. This kind of collaborative model works well when the community has a shared and common vision, and the goal is to get many hands on deck working together rather than in competition. The third model of crowdsourcing that I want to point out to you is what we might call co-creation instead of collaboration. Sometimes we have problems that require many different solutions rather than just one. So to take one fun example, Local Motors is a company in the United States that gets the crowd working on developing new kinds of cars and new parts for those cars. The goal is not to develop a single car, who would want that, but to develop a whole catalog of new vehicles, from motorcycles to cars to trucks. More often than not, the goal is to create many innovations, not simply a single one. But regardless of the type of crowdsourcing or open innovation that we practice, whether a challenge or a collaboration or co-creation, we always have the problem of what I refer to as the open call. In other words, we put out a challenge, we ask people to help, and often, although we build it, they do not come, whether because people do not know about the opportunity or lack the incentive to participate. That's why, as a next step, after identifying the kind of collaboration we need, we then need to identify the audience we want, be it businesses, activists, students, or residents of a particular neighborhood. We need to recognize that employees are people too, and we may want to reach out to public servants within our own organization or across other departments. The World Bank has taken the step of developing a database of all the skills and expertise and know-how of everyone who works at the bank or has worked at the World Bank, making it possible to find the person who worked in Senegal or dug a well in Laos or managed disaster response in the Philippines. Beyond employees, we should think about the expertise that's available all around the world to help us solve problems. At the GovLab, we use a process for sourcing expertise online that we have nicknamed Smarter Crowdsourcing. Smarter Crowdsourcing uses new technology to curate and convene global experts that allows us to tap into their know-how rapidly. Smarter crowdsourcing allows us to target people wherever they may live who might have been doing just the thing that we're trying to learn, such as using predictive analytics to spot an outbreak or leveraging social media to fight corruption. Finally, in addition to crowdsourcing among employees and crowdsourcing with global experts, we also now increasingly have the opportunity to crowdsource among those in our own backyard, the people who live in our own community. That's what Costa Rica has done with its Revolución CR project, in which it's reached out to citizens to help solve a series of challenges articulated by the government. In Monterrey, Mexico, they're doing something similar. The city put out challenges around a series of issues and then invited the public to develop solutions to those problems. In just a matter of weeks, they received 52 proposals. Recognizing that an idea by itself is often very difficult to implement, the program offered coaching services to both citizens and civil servants alike in order to ensure that those ideas could be developed into implementable projects and services. Before we go, let's list a few of the considerations when co-creating with others. The first thing I want to make sure that you do is that you've, of course, actually defined the problem and what you're trying to accomplish with some precision so that you can invite others to help you. As the folks at the Incentive Challenge platform will tell you, after 16 years of conducting prize-backed challenges with a crowd of over 380,000 solvers and having run over 2,000 challenges, the central work that they do for their clients is not simply operating the challenge, it's really helping people to articulate and define the problem to be solved and creating those metrics and measures for success. Then you have to ask yourself which model of crowdsourcing and engagement is the right one. Do you want to articulate a challenge, perhaps backed by a prize, to find a single solution, or are you in fact trying to engender collaboration or co-creation, the development of many solutions in response to a common challenge? Next, have you thought about the audience that you're trying to reach? Can you identify who they are, employees, global experts, local experts, residents? For example, to go back to Denmark, MindLab is undertaking a process of reaching out to employees within certain kinds of businesses to understand how regulations affect them in the day-to-day and to engage them in the process of redesigning those regulations, trying to solve the same problems with less burdensome ways of working. It's extraordinarily essential to invest the attention necessary in ensuring that a diverse audience and the right audience will actually learn about the opportunity to participate. Not to the exclusion of others, but to ensure that all voices are heard that need to be heard as part of the process. Finally, co-creating with people, of course, depends upon having a clear and well-defined plan that lays out the milestones and deliverables and that's clear about the task that you want people to perform, and articulates the directions and tests those directions to make sure they are clear and that people understand how to participate, when to participate, and why to participate. Part of those directions will include eligibility criteria. Finally, it's important to ensure that you have at the back end the institutional resources that you need, the team and the tools that are necessary to manage the submissions. Too often, participation practices are designed to make it easy for citizens to engage, to brainstorm, to submit ideas, to suggest policy proposals, but without any consideration for whether the information is going to be received in a way that the institution can actually make use of it. Does it pertain to the actual jurisdiction of the institution? Is it in a format that can be used? Is it going to be received in a time frame that's helpful and efficient? We need to make sure to design those processes in ways that work for both institutions and individuals. Let me leave you with the suggestion of a tool that you can use to help you think through your own project, called the GovLab Public Projects Canvas, which you can find at govlabacademy.org. I hope that working through the questions that you find there online will help you begin to develop your own projects and think like a public entrepreneur about how to engage with others to improve them. Thank you.